Coming up on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte, we have breaking news.
Woodies have taken the country by storm.
That includes this 1949 Packard Woody. Doesn't this Fury have an interesting steering wheel or steering rectangle or whatever?
It's just weird to drive it. You drive a round one and you drive a square one.
And from family cruiser to treasured keepsake.
So he put a little red heart on the dash on the car. It says, "To Kathleen, love Dad and Mom."
Plus,
We've taken our time, we've done our research, we know this industry.
the finest in automotive restoration in Under the Hood. Boy, oh boy, don't you know this beauty has always been well cared for?
We found it buried in the snowbank of a gas station in Mayfield.
Okay, maybe not. Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte, starts right now. Hi everybody, welcome to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. I'm Jeff Phelps at the Patterson Fruit Farm in Chester Township, Ohio, the Northern Ohio chapter of the Antique Automobile Club of America, putting on its annual show. And despite some challenges from the weather, pretty nice turnout. Bob, take a look around this field, take a look at this show today. If there's a bigger car than yours here, I haven't seen it yet. This Chrysler New Yorker is huge.
It is. In fact, they were known and are still known as post-war heavy metal. They came out by Chrysler in 46 first, kind of based on the 42s that they made before the war.
As many cars were back in the 40s.
And they made the same basic car from 46 to early 49.
What made you want to pick up a huge car like this, Bob?
Its style and its looks are kind of unique, and they sort of represent the era that I grew up in. I was a kid during the 40s, and that was at the time when you knew every make and every model,
exactly.
You know, as it went down the street. And so I was basically looking for that car, as I think most people do. The younger folks are looking for muscle cars, and that's what they knew. And of its era, this was the top of Chrysler's line. So it has features in it that I didn't even expect, such as turn signals, and it's a semi-automatic transmission called fluid drive, which I understand they used in the tanks during the war as well. And this is kind of a tank.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it fits very nicely, and if you have the technology, put it on the road, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was originally owned by somebody in Virginia, but then early in its life, back in the early 70s, I believe, a gentleman in Findlay, Ohio bought it and kept it until about 5 years ago. He passed away, and then it came into one of the members of our club and eventually ended up with me.
Kathleen, I absolutely love your Mercury Monterey, but I love the story behind it even more. You've had this car a very long time, and your family's had it even longer.
Yes, they have. Yes, it's really sentimental. I mean, my mom and dad were married 61 years. And my dad went down to Wick Lincoln Mercury, and I went with him, and he says, "I'm going to buy this car for Mom." And he paid $2,800 for it. And Wick Lincoln is not there anymore, they're gone. But and like I say, they were married 61 years, and then when I graduated from Collinwood in 1962, my graduation present was the three of us drove to California, Las Vegas in the car. So it was really sentimental. It was our first long trip with the car, and it was just fantastic. I had a good relationship with my parents, and we had a good fun time. And then when my dad passed away in 1994, my dad said, "I want you, and Mom and I want you to have the car. So we're going to give you the car." So he put a little red heart on the dash on the car. It says, "To Kathleen, love Dad and Mom." So it's very sentimental. And it only has 53,000 miles, a little over 53,000 miles on it.
Wow.
He worked at Ajax Manufacturing Company on Chardon Road for 54 years. He was there.
Wow.
And he would, half the time if it was raining or something, he would walk to Ajax. He said, I'm not going to take the car out.
Have to leave the Monterey in the garage, right?
Yes, everything's original. Nothing's been done to it. As far as even tires, I haven't even put any tires on it. No, so.
Well, when you look at this thing, what do you think? Obviously the memories are there, but what really comes to your mind when you take a look at this car, when you get behind the wheel, Kathleen?
I think, thank the Lord that I have this beautiful car, and I thank the Lord that I had such wonderful parents that gave this to me, and it will be sentimental for as long as I live. And I just turned 69 on the feast, August 15th, so it's really sentimental. It really is.
That's wonderful, and I love the color-coordinated outfit with the jewelry and even the hair to go along with it, Kathleen. That's a fabulous look.
Thank you ever so much.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Gary, usually a gentleman owns a Cadillac or a guy owns a Lincoln. A Cadillac man, a Lincoln man. You're both.
I am fortunate I have both.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does a Cadillac guy own a Lincoln and be able to justify it to everybody who's either a Cadillac or a Lincoln purist?
Well, they're two different. They're both wonderful cars. They're a little different, and I'm fortunate that I can appreciate both cars.
The car behind you, we've had in the show before from last year when we visited Stan Hewitt. Your Cadillac, we've not seen before, and it is fabulous. A convertible to boot.
Yes, sir.
How long have you had this, Gary?
11 years.
And you found it where?
In Chicago.
Looking like?
I did a complete body-off restoration on it. Wow. When I brought it to Cleveland.
And how long did that take?
Didn't quite
Gary?
look like this.
How long did it take?
It took almost a year, 9 months to a year, about a year.
What was it about the 46 Cadillac? And of course the war had just ended, everybody was getting everything fired up again. What was it about this style of a car that you thought, I would really like to have one of these?
Well, I'll tell you, what you don't know yet is I have a 1941 Cadillac at home, which was the last car sold just before the war began. And it was sold actually a local car from Central Cadillac. And I heard about this car, which is one of the first cars sold after the war ended. And that was an interest, and I like Cadillacs a lot, so that helped.
What features on this car do you like so much, Gary?
Oh, I like the styling. I like the 8-cylinder engine. It's got a lot of power, starts up, holds the road very well. And I like a little bit of prestige on the car, and I think it does have it.
You know, the Cadillacs of this era, the Lincolns of this era, and you mentioned the styling and the design. I wouldn't say it's outrageous, I'd just say it's so elegant and such a beautiful look that I think you have to be attracted to it if you're a car purist.
Yes, I'm very happy with it. In fact, even when it's not running, I have a garage behind my home where I store these cars, and I like very much just to go out even during the winter and just look at the cars and wipe them off, and you get attached to them.
Well, I'm sure a lot of Cadillac guys are envious that you have a Cadillac and a Lincoln, and I'm sure the Lincoln guys feel the same way, so congratulations, Gary.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Hey, in case you didn't know,
You know, everybody loves to see a Woody.
and we'll see one next on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
World-class collector vehicles. That's what RK Motors Charlotte is all about. The finest in classic, muscle, and high-performance automobiles. The design and excellence of the 1930s and 40s. The chrome of the 1950s. The muscle of the 1960s and 70s, and much more. RK Motors is the one-stop shop to sell your car, add a new prize to your collection, or restore an old friend to past glory. Learn more about RK Motors Charlotte at rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Now back to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. Todd, I've never heard of a car with the name Formal actually in the name of the car until now. The name of your car is what exactly?
This is a 1939 Buick Roadmaster formal sedan.
Well, I'm glad that I knew that because I didn't want to not be formal now that I know that it's in the name. That's a mouthful to say.
Yes, it is.
That must be why it says 64 Rambler Wagon on your little sign that you filled out on the car.
It is. People ask, so we have some fun.
How did this thing come to be yours?
Well, we found it buried in the snowbank of a gas station in Mayfield. Its previous heritage has had it come out of the Crawford Auto Museum in a raffle. And a gentleman in East Cleveland acquired it. It got transferred to a restaurateur in Mayfield, and he wasn't using it, and my wife and I came across it and made the deal.
From auto museum to snowbank. This car needed you.
It did. It did.
How long ago was this?
14 years ago.
Wow. And what have you done to it?
Well, this car was completely taken apart and heavily modernized. While we wanted to retain the original character and presence of it, we primarily went after the drivetrain and the suspension and added some creature comforts to the main cabin.
How fun has it been to have it out and driving it around, Todd? Because obviously you get it on the road, you enjoy this car.
I do. I enjoy it very much. And because of its uniqueness and the color and just the way it presents, we were shooting for kind of an elegance in how it presented itself. It's a showstopper. It gets a lot of looks. People want to come by and people do want to know about it.
A car from this era, you would expect it to be at the brightest dark green, maybe deep blue or certainly black. You don't see the white in this era of car very often.
No, this was a custom spray we worked on.
Nice.
Countless sprays to establish the color. Then we added pearl to it and did a lot more sprays till we finally settled on the finished color.
I love the color of it. What was it originally when you picked it up?
I believe, well, when I got it, it was maroon. And you are right, this was available in black from the factory. Our intention is to keep it a lot of years and enjoy it.
Have you seen any others?
No. I haven't seen anything around northern Ohio that looks like this. This was a unique year for Buick. The front grille and signature on this was unique to just one year, 1939. Kind of an Art Deco look.
Gene, you have the story that everybody loves to hear. You found this car where?
I found it in a barn in northern Iowa, surrounded by cornfields and soybean fields. And it had been in there for maybe 20 years untouched. And with 52,000 miles on it. Original interior, one repaint in the 60s. And all it needed was just juice up the brakes and change the hoses and belts and stuff like that and drive it. It's got electric overdrive and works perfectly.
Did you know this car existed? How did you find it? Obviously, as a Packard guy, you're looking for Packards, but how'd you find this thing?
A friend of mine that lives in Iowa has 5 of these.
5 Packard Woodies.
5 Packard Woodies.
Wow.
And he knew of this old gentleman and knew of the car, and I had nagged him for years to give me one of his, and he wouldn't do it, so he took me up to Iowa, and we saw the car and just bought it right out of hand.
Now, a car that has been sitting for 20 years, any car, that's sometimes a little bit of a questionable situation. How about a Woody that had been sitting for 20 years, Gene? What kind of condition was it in?
Well, we had to refinish the wood, but that was just superficial. But the lift gate on the back was so bad we had to have it remade. So we took the lift gate, the back lift gate, to a cabinet maker in our city, and he duplicated it exactly and mounted it right back on the car. And
wow.
My painter toned that wood down so that it matched the rest of the wood on the car.
Wow.
But the rest of the wood is like we found it.
So your buddy has 5 Packard Woodies, but Gene, how common is a Packard Woody?
We made 3,200 of them in a 3-year period. They all look alike, no matter what year they are. They're 48, 49, and 50. And they're identical except for the serial numbers.
Wow.
So they made, say, 1,100, 1,000 to 1,100 a year, and it tapered off in the last year. And they're just so much fun. You know, Woodies have taken the country by storms, and they're just so interesting looking. You know, everybody loves to see a Woody.
What is it about the Packard automobile, Gene, that you like so much?
The Packard automobile, to me, I started back in the late 60s, and I've owned 70 Packards in my day. I'm down to 6, 7, 8 now.
What is it about the Packard that has intrigued you over all these years?
The Packard was the finest car ever made. It was made for royalty, and it was made for the common guy. And they just spanned from $1,000 to $9,000 back in the 30s. And the common guy drove the little 120s, and the guys that had the money drove the Super 8s and 12s. But they were all Packards. I mean, every inch of it, no matter what price you paid for it, you got quality.
And you got yours out of a barn in Iowa.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
and lucky to find it.
When it comes to restoring your classic car, visit our buddy Mike Fellick.
We can definitely suit almost anyone's needs on anything automotive, paint, body, or service.
Under the Hood is next on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
RK Motors Charlotte wants your classic car. Let our consignment professionals take the aggravation out of the selling process for you. With an established international customer base, the RK Motors Charlotte consignment program has a 90% sell-through rate. Our top-notch marketing efforts have led to an average sale time of 87 days. We do the work, we do the marketing, we sell your classic for you at maximum value. Visit our website at rkmotorscharlotte.com. Under the Hood is presented by RK Motors Charlotte, specializing in the sale, build, and restoration of world-class collector vehicles.
The premise of most all of our Under the Hood segments has been things that a classic car owner can do at home. Mike Vellick, restoration manager here at RK Motors Restoration, and that's all well and good. We love doing that.
Absolutely.
But if somebody's looking for the big-time job, the big-time restoration, or high-quality professional work, RK Motors Restoration, the place to get that. You guys offer every service available for a classic car.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, Jeff, we've been focusing on things that you or I could do in our garage if we didn't have the capabilities that a shop like this has. But to go that next step farther, you want to come and, you know, take it to the extreme. You know, you want to frame off nut and bolt restoration, which is what we do here. You know, we can take it from your ground up perfect #1 show car to, hey, let's touch up that little bit of damage you got on the road. As long as it's a classic, collectible, or special interest car.
You're not going to work on my minivan?
I don't want to work on your Honda minivan. Number one, let's face it, you're paying for a specialized service by specialized guys that
With incredible training.
This is what we specialize in. You know, we've taken our time, we've done our research, we know this industry, we know the muscle, the classic, the collector, we know those little details as we've seen in the under the hood sections with, you know, that little extra paint marking. You know, if you don't want to do the research, bring it here, we'll do it. You know, we have no problems with that. This is what we do here.
You do interiors, you could do just paint,
Yep.
You could do anything anybody needs done.
Convertible tops, vinyl tops, seat recovering. We have a paint booth, full booth to put out award-winning paint jobs. We have 4-bay service area here in Menor. And of course down in Charlotte we also have the same facilities as we have here, just in a different area. So between the two facilities we can definitely suit almost anyone's needs on anything automotive, paint, body, or service.
As we have seen using cars like this 55 Holiday as a prop, you have fabulous cars that come in here and they look even better going out.
Absolutely. Like I said, we take very, very high pride in our work, and we want to make sure that anything that leaves these doors is of the utmost quality and customer satisfaction. And we'll work our best to make you happy. Thanks
for doing all these under the hood segments.
Absolutely, Jeff.
I've learned some things that I can do, and I'm an automotive moron, so that's a good thing for me.
And that's the thing. I like helping people out and being able to just show them that little extra that they can do, because a lot of people may have not even giving it a shot.
You want it to look spectacular? Bring it to Mike Fellick
Bring
here
it
at
on
RK
here.
Motors Restoration.
Absolutely.
Under the Hood is presented by RK Motors Charlotte, specializing in the sale, build, and restoration of world-class collector vehicles. Visit our website at rkmotorscharlotte.com. Automotive passion runs deep at RK Motors Restoration. Our master body, paint, and mechanical technicians have decades of award-winning experience restoring some of the world's finest collector cars. Flawless paint and bodywork, highly accurate interiors, engines that run better than new. Each restoration is completely documented and finished to award-winning Concours quality specifications. From project car to automotive perfection, visit rkmotorscharlotte.com to make it happen.
Now back to the Northern Ohio chapter of the Antique Automobile Club of America's annual car show on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. Chuck, a 1961 Plymouth Fury.
Right.
It's a car that is certainly an eye catcher, and if you've seen one, you'd know it, but you don't see these around very much.
Sure.
How often do you hear that?
That's right. If you're an old timer, you hear it.
How did this car come to be yours, Chuck?
Well, actually, it's my daughter's car, but I take care of it and everything.
That's nice of you. I'm sure you do it just because you're a nice guy, not because you get to drive the Fury all the time, right?
You're right.
And where did it come from? It's been in your family since brand new?
Her uncle gave it to my daughter, okay? It's been in my family ever since.
And you've had it, or excuse me, your daughter's had it for how long?
Probably around 10 years.
So you've had it for 10 years.
Yeah.
We know the truth, Chuck. I look at this car and you see so many of the interesting design features of the Chryslers in the late 50s, early 60s, all the Chrysler products, the Plymouth and everything else. Let's talk about the rectangular steering wheel. How do you deal with that, Chuck?
Well, it's odd driving, but you get used to it. It's just weird to drive it. You drive a round one and you drive a square one.
How about the push-button transmission?
Fine, very good. It's hard for me to get used to. I'm still shifting gears. But when I think about it, I push the button and I go.
I take a look at the front end of this car, I take a look at the back end of this car, and I can't figure out which one I like more or which one I think is more strange looking, Chuck. What do you think?
I don't know. They say it's so ugly, it's pretty. I don't understand it, you know. But
Do you like the front end?
I like the whole car.
How about the taillights on this thing? Your buddies have been giving me grief about your taillights ever since we came over here and started talking to you, Chuck.
Well, when I used to like these Chryslers, I used to like the fins, okay?
Yep.
This first year they did away with the fins.
Well, but it's still a nice car.
Thank you.
Now, you said some people think it's ugly. What happened to the engineer who designed this thing, Chuck?
Somebody told me he got fired. I don't know.
Well, at least he left your family with a real nice token that you guys have had forever. Who cares about a little rain when you're able to get your classic out and share it with all the other members of the AACA, the Antique Automobile Club of America? Special thanks to Chapter President Bernie Golias. Bernie, a huge help not only with this show, but all season long with us on Cruise In. And Bernie, we really appreciate that an awful lot. I'm Jeff Phelps. We'll see you next time on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.